Colonel Stars and Stripes reporting for duty.
And try to have fun.
Actor Jim Carrey shocking the makers of his latest movie by refusing to promote it. He says the film is too violent. The film's star, who is starring in the too violent film, has been front and center on the recent anti-gun violence push. And he tweeted out his latest explanation for his behavior, saying, quote, "I did," in the name of the movie, "before Sandy Hook. And now, in all good conscience, I cannot support this level of violence. My apologies to others involved with the film. I am not ashamed of it, but recent events have caused a change in my heart." Joining me now, Michelle Malkin, who's a columnist and a Fox News contributor. So he came out and did this riff, I don't know, parody of Charlton Heston, saying, you know, "You'll get my gun when you rip it from my cold, dead hands." And, you know, took a lot of flack at the time because he started many violent movies where he's featured with the guns and pointing them at everybody and shooting people up. And at the time, you know, he didn't think he was a hypocrite. And he was making this movie at the time he was saying all that stuff. But now that it's time to promote it, Michelle, he's come out and said, "Oh, that's a bridge too far."
Yeah, you got to hand it to these Holly weirdos. They really know how to have it all ways. And I think that even the makers of the film and his other colleagues in the movie are going to be rather disgusted with him, joining everyone else who's been watching his hyper-hypocritical anti-gun meltdown happen on Twitter these last several months. And we've been monitoring it on Twitchy, my Twitter aggregation site. So when he came out with this tweet yesterday afternoon, it was quite the puzzler, the way that he has worded it. Because on the one hand, he says he's not ashamed of the movie, but apparently now he's not going to go out and do any publicity for it. But if he's really had a change of heart, is he going to now return his salary or donate it to some sort of charity? I think a lot of people are wondering that out loud on Twitter. And then, of course, there's, I think, a very fundamental point here, which is he is trying to cover his you-know-what, borrowing the name from the movie there, because, as you say, it was back in March when he came out with this unhinged video parodying Charlton Heston. It was called Cold Dead Hands, and he was going on this nonstop all-caps Twitter rant denying that he was a hypocrite. And it wasn't until a young conservative activist, Caleb Bonham, came out with a devastating compilation of all the violent clips of movies that Jim Carrey had previously been involved in, cashed in on, and had not been ashamed of.
Right, and now,
but
now he wants us to believe that it was Sandy Hook that really changed everything for him. And the question has to be, as awful as Sandy Hook was and how much it affected all of America, you know, like the 32 dead victims at Virginia Tech, did that not affect you at all back in 2007? How about when Gabby Giffords got shot along with 5 other people at her rope line, or Columbine for that matter? None of the other violent incidents that he puts entirely, you know, the blame on guns and, you know, bad guns as opposed to the bad people, those did not affect him and did not stop him from making any of these movies.
Yes, right. Great point, Megyn. And it really underscores just how expedient his anti-gun pose and posture and theater has been over the last several months. Look, you know what? I think there's a part of me that wants to accept his change of heart, because I welcome any Holly weirdo acknowledging that there might be some consequences and there might be some personal responsibility on the part of these actors and directors and producers who've indulged time and again in these blockbuster movies that use excessive amounts of gratuitous violence. These are the same people on the left who blame Sarah Palin and her use of a standard campaign targeting map for every last instance of random violence in this country, and then deny that all of the filth and all of the bloodbaths that they put out there might possibly have something to do with the level of violence in our culture.
And now he's come out, though, and taken, you know, this is where he draws the line. But already, Michelle, the backlash has started because the executive producer of the film came out and said, "I'm baffled by this announcement. Nothing seen in this picture wasn't in the screenplay 18 months ago." He said, "Yeah, the body count is very high, but this movie is, you know, what it says on its tin." I'm not going to repeat that. I don't need to promote this movie, right? Okay, because it's we all know what it is, and if you want to look up the name, you can. But will there be backlash to Jim Carrey, or do you think this is just going to help publicize this film?
I think that it's going to unify left and right in confirming what a phony, complete phony Jim Carrey is. On the other hand, what I hope it does is reopen a discussion that has been rather muted in the wake of many of these tragic acts of violence. And of course, every weekend is a bloodbath in Chicago, and we never hear from the left about this, about what possible consequences there might be of Hollywood. We should have that conversation, shouldn't we?
Great to see you, Michelle.
You too.